And too many people in our condition have forgot that they're in survival mode, that they're 10 steps behind the starting line, and the guns went off, and you're trying to untie this belt that's wrapped around your leg and these shackles that's on your wrist before you can even get to the starting line to take off. We forgot that we are not where we need to be, and we become relaxed and we become steadfast, and we sit in our poverty so long that we start to glamorize and memorialize our poverty until somebody comes in and wakes you up. But the problem is, we've been sitting in for so long that we then become agitated when somebody points out or holds us accountable for the actions that we've done. See, we would rather buy a product belt than invest in some stock for our kids, but I'm not here to point the finger at you. What I'm here to point the finger at is the thought process that we're trapped in. Let's take it back to this. Have you ever wanted something in your life so bad that you would do anything to get it? What about a woman? You know how crazy love is, right? You know how you would literally stick your hand almost in a burning building to grab their children. You will go to any extreme for something that gave you pleasure. The issue is, why isn't us taking the step past poverty something that is an extreme that we have to go after? That's the concept. See, how can we go to the club faithfully and our kids' education isn't paid for? Help me understand. I understand. I fully get having an opportunity to relax and decompress. But why are you decompressing so much? Because here's the thing: if you're in hunger mode and beast mode when it comes to saving your kid or putting your arm in that burning building, why isn't that same complex applied to you making sure that your kid's education is paid for? See, I had to come to grips with a thought process. I told myself sitting in the county, Kyle, you've been carrying a gun your whole life. How are you going to survive out here without carrying a gun? You know what Kansas City is like. And I had to come to grips with the fact that I have to adjust 15 steps before I ever have to even pick up the gun. See, I have to adjust the environment that I'm going to be around. I have to adjust the people that I'm going to be around. I have to adjust the smoking habits that brought those people around. There was so many tactful things I had to do just for that one step to survive. So what I'm trying to get to is, it's the process that we have to go through that carries us into a different realm of life, that we can actually get to that I'm hungry mode. See, we get so mad at the extrinsic things that are going on in our lives that we never really pay attention to the intrinsic. And the only reason we don't pay attention to the intrinsic is because we've been looking at ourselves for so long that we get tired of looking at ourselves. We get to looking at everybody else and blaming everybody else because it's a little bit easier to do than pointing the finger at ourselves. Because the moment that you accept that your thought process or your beliefs to your motivations are wrong, you have to change. You can't keep saying that you're doing something incomplete for so long and expect a different result. I love that Einstein coined that it's insanity, doing the exact same thing over and over, expecting a different result. And that's exactly what we have done. We have lost the hunger for the question why. We are no longer asking, why am I still in this? We are just accepting that we are in it. And that's the key problem. I can tell you all day about stocks. I can tell you all day about debt relief and equity, and I can tell you all day about a PPP and backing your way out of debt with loopholes that the government has put in place for the higher up. I can tell you about it all day, but there's a difference between being hungry and being motivated. A lot of us are hungry, but only those that are hungry get fed and they're content. See, we get to a place where we're content with our lifestyle. And see, the difference between that and motivated is, even after I've eaten, I'm still hungry after that. See, a lot of us get to this complex, and I say this a lot because being a business owner, everybody wants to be a business owner. I heard one person tell me, yo, I want to own a business so I can be at home with my kids. Well, you don't understand the construct of being a business owner and starting it up, because there's no way that you're going to be at home if you want to fast track this business and get to a corporate level. And we get this complex like, you know what, I just want enough. Well, what's enough? Do you know that 120,000 is they're basing that rate at poverty? Like, that's middle class now, 120. Listen, the tax break from Trump that came in 2016, 2017, capped the tax break at 80,000. Listen, the average person is only making 25 to 30,000. Listen, our thought process is accepting poverty. And until we get out of that, I'm telling you, we're going to be stuck. Well, then the question comes up, how do I get out of that poverty thought process? How do I break that mold? Well, let me help you with this. See, our behaviors are only solidified and acted out through our beliefs and our motivations. So my belief is I want to get out of the hood, hypothetically, right? But the motivation in which I apply to that belief ends up being, I'm gonna stand up to get up out the hood. Or I'm gonna cut corners to get up out the hood. See, that's where we have to understand the difference between right and wrong and put them in a component and then start looking at the difference between those two and effective. See, the difference between right and wrong and effective is long term. Right and wrong can really justify what we do today. And this is what I teach my young adults. I ask them this question. I say, is it right to pay your rent? They respond, yes. Is it wrong to spend your money that you're supposed to put on rent on clothes, shoes? They say, no, that's wrong. I say, okay, so tell me this. Is it right to pay your rent over feeding your kids? They're like, no, wait a minute. I'll stop them. I say, but you just told me that was right over here. Well, that's the difference between what is effective, right? See, effective is I'm gonna put that rent to the side. I'm gonna feed my kids because my kids are what is longevity. I may be able to pay that rent later on. I may be able to find a subsidy to help me out with this rent later on. See, it's the effectiveness that's important over what is right and what is wrong. So let's talk about long-term effectiveness. See, when we start thinking long-term effectiveness, then healthcare becomes a very, very important thing. See, when we talk about effectiveness, insurance becomes a very important thing. When we start talking about effectiveness, a life insurance policy becomes an effective thing. See, these are things that prepare for the worst and then pay a yield to the price that we invested in. See, a lot of times we get caught up in old traditions and apply old traditions to new concepts, like who's buying the CD anymore? If you're investing in a CD, then you are failing your family. Listen, there's too many stocks, there's too many mutual funds, there's too many things that we can invest in that reveal compound interest that can set our families up for the long run. It's not about being rich, it's about getting our kids to the starting line because we have not had the opportunity to start at that starting line.